Welcome to Wednesday Night Live Spirit, Mind, and Body Connection. I am Dr. Sharron Stroud. I am the founder of Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we believe there is a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we are using it every single day of our lives, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And as we come together tonight, we're going to be speaking about the grace of wise counsel, which I love doing the 7 graces, and it's been really pretty miraculous during this amazing time. I want to say hello to Jean-Marie and to Rhonda from Florida, and I love it when you share where you're from. And if you have any prayer requests, please feel free to post them on my timeline, and our Miracle Working Ministry of Prayer will pray over them for 30 days and know the truth with you and for you. And a spiritual treatment is a positive prayer of alignment. It's acknowledging that the truth is everything that's wanted and needed is already there, and ours is the privilege of awakening to it. And I was on a program today, it was the Global Summit, and it obviously it was on Zoom, and we had some very interesting discussions about creating critical mass. In other words, tipping the scales in favor of spirituality. So tonight, as we gather together and we acknowledge that nothing happens by chance, that we're all here by divine appointment. And as we listen to the still small voice, I want to say hi to Dustin. Dustin is one of my assistants at Interfaith and absolutely wonderful. However, when we gather together and we are the 2 or 3, there's an energy. And when the Bible states where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, in other words, that higher energy, that higher power, that presence within us, it doesn't matter what we call it. We can call it God, Yahweh, Jehovah, Krishna, Christ, Buddha, it matters not. But to acknowledge that which is within us as greater than that which resides in the world of conditions, appearances, and effects. So tonight as we gather, you know that I set the tone. I have little Tibetan bells that resonate to the heart chakra. Remember that a chakra is a wheel of spinning energy in a clockwise fashion. It's an ancient Sanskrit word. We have 7 major chakras within this body temple. And as we open the heart chakra tonight, we know energetically that as our heart opens, which is the seat of the soul, so our soul is moved. And I want to say hi to Doug Brudell from Washington. Doug was one of our very faithful members in the day. So welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Wednesday Night Live, Spirit, Mind, and Body Connection. And as we gather tonight, as we acknowledge that we do have a divine appointment, and that we're come together, I want to say hi to Dr. Roger, who is our host, and will be posting various requests. Hi, Austin. Glad that you're with us. I want to wave at you. Once I get going in my stream of consciousness, just know that I will be waving at you symbolically. And as I wave at you symbolically, we will feel this energy, because I was sharing today when I was being interviewed on the Global Summit, that when I look into this camera, I see and feel your heart. I feel an energy. And remember what Tesla said, if you want to know the secrets of life, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. That takes us out of the realm of personality and into the realm of spiritual realization and awakening. So when I am vibrating at a very certain frequency, others are drawn into my frequency as well. I also want to acknowledge that it's Passover, and for many years I did a metaphysical Passover service, and we had all of the haroset, which it was the wonderful, wonderful sweet apple salad and hard-boiled eggs and all of these wonderful goodies. We did not do the lamb shank because I am a vegetarian, and so we did not do that. But my instructor and teacher in the School of Ministry, Rabbi Lawrence Block, wrote a metaphysical Haggadah, in which he took all of the elements of the Haggadah, and it's basically really the same, and created the metaphysical Haggadah, which gave us the metaphysical interpretation of Passover. And I want to say hello to Trish. Welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center. And as we acknowledge our energy tonight, we know that this energy is powerful and that it moves beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation, that we are all one. And in this oneness do we live and move and have our being. In this oneness do we move beyond the appearances and we connect, because the blood that flows through my veins is the same color of the blood that flows through your veins. And as we draw the larger circle and include whatever is going on the planet, that is including the coronavirus. Remember, corona means light. So as the light penetrates the darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not, shadows flee away forever. It's up to us as light workers, as those who are knowing the truth and call ourselves spiritual people, to know the truth, to know the light absorbs the darkness. It not only absorbs the darkness, what does it do? It penetrates the darkness. It not only penetrates the darkness, it illuminates the darkness. So here we are tonight. We're a virtual community, but we're feeling the essence and the energy of one another. I want to welcome Amy. Welcome, dear. And remember, please share with us where you're from. We love to know where you're from. And as I get going in my stream of consciousness, I want to welcome Reverend Linda Orrick, who is a wonderful member of our Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide and my dearest friend. And it's truly wonderful to have you with us. I want to acknowledge that Frederick Smith is with us as well, and that we're gathering together in this energy, and we're allowing this energy to create such an aura of light. And tonight we're looking at grace. And remember, you didn't earn this grace. You didn't have to work for it. By virtue of the fact that we entered the planet, all grace and power is given unto us. And I love this topic about the grace of wise counsel. And so Miss Minnie and I, we're going to set the tone with the Tibetan bells. And please feel free that as I speak this declaration, feel very, very free to just repeat after me if you are in a position to do that. And if you feel comfortable doing that. If not, you can just silently repeat after me. And I'm going to wave at this last person, Gary. So nice to have you with us, who's one of our wonderful, faithful members here on our virtual Wednesday night live Spirit, Mind, and Body Connection. So here are the Tibetan bells. And as I make this declaration, this is a chant from the Gandhi Foundation. And I was sent this chant during the Harmonic Convergence in 1987, when I was presenting for the United Nations University for Peace. And they also sent me a crystal bowl. Now we see these crystal bowls everywhere. They're quartz crystal bowls, and we tone them. I said that I was just going to do one more, and that was Gary, but we'll do one more. Yvonne, welcome to our Wednesday night live Spirit, Mind, and Body Connection. And so I was sent this crystal bowl, and in 1987, these were not really, I mean, they look like salad bowls. And so I read the instructions, and it had the chant from the Gandhi Foundation, so that when I was to present at the United Nations University for Peace in Costa Rica, that I would do this chant. And I practiced it, and I did the toning of the bowl. I was very nervous about it. And in those days, we didn't do a lot of that in the New Thought movement. And when I went to Costa Rica and I took the bowl, afterward, we all went up to the United Nations University for Peace Gandhi Memorial, which was outside. And the Dalai Lama was there, and he said it was one of the purest sounds that he had ever heard. So I knew that I had done something right. But tonight, I'm honoring the Dalai Lama every Wednesday night live with our Tibetan symbols that resonate to the heart chakra. So I offer up to you on this evening the chant from the Gandhi Foundation. I offer you peace. I offer you friendship. I offer you love. I see your beauty. I hear your needs. I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from a higher source. I salute that source in you. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. We know that right now, somewhere in the world, a Jew is saying her prayers. A Hindu is chanting a mantra, and a Buddhist is kneeling at her sacred shrine. Right now, at this very moment, someone is lighting a candle in a cathedral. Someone is making their Hajj toward Mecca, for it is the will of Allah. And yet someone else is lighting a fire in a jungle, repeating an ancient mystical drama. Many, many pathways up the mountaintop, and the view is always the same from the summit. In the dawning of the spiritual sun, for a moment all faiths became as one. The Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jew became as one and somehow knew that mystic voice that calls to me, "Oh, yonder, yonder person, I am thee. We are one. And in this oneness do we live and move and have our being. In this oneness do we connect at the heart level. In this oneness do we let go of everything that no longer serves us, so that we can arise in this energy triumphant and victorious." And so it is. So tonight, I'm going to address the grace of wise counsel. And if you look at your life and some of the most important people that came into your life, they look like chance meetings perhaps, but they came into your life and they said just the right word at the right moment, so that everything shifted. And as it shifted, that was a moment of grace. And in that moment of grace, there was such an energy and such a feeling of realization, of revelation, of enlightenment. And when we have these metanoic moments of enlightenment, we go to the next level. Life is a spiral. And some people think, well, it's a pendulum. However, if life is a spiral, we keep moving up the spiral. And with each revolution of change, there's disorientation. And I really, at the very deepest level of my essence, believe that on a global level, that we are moving to the next level of our shared humanity. That there is a ground of being, of spirituality, and it has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with spirituality, a foundation that allows us to be in the world, but of a higher vibratory frequency. And if I think of the people in my life that have made a difference, and this is the grace of wise counsel. Have you ever been in a bookstore when we used to have lots of bookstores, and of course right now we're doing social mindfulness, and have a book fall off a shelf? And you reach down to pick up that book, and it was just exactly what you needed and changed your life. That whatever those words were, you embodied them. And I want you to know that this way of life is the easiest thing in the world to mouth. It's easy to parrot these principles, but to embody these principles, to embrace these principles so that we live and move and have our being in these principles, and that we react and respond in a spiritual way, that it becomes second nature to us. So when we are responding to the energy and the planet, and so much going on our planet, are we that voice of peace? Are we coming into an energy field and bringing the peace with us. And of course, we're all invited to stay home, but there are times that we need to go out. I had to go to the post office today, and I was mailing my grandson his Easter gift. And as I looked around in the post office, and there was a warmth in there, and people were being very mindful of one another. And there was an energy in the post office that we don't usually get from a post office. And what it was so reminiscent for me in that moment in time was the opportunity that we had to connect at the heart level. That it wasn't about distancing so much as it was about connecting and respecting and honoring one another's space. And it was interesting, when I was 15 years old, I took speech, and I was a theater arts major in high school. And I had a wonderful speech instructor, and his name was Dr. Richard Arenstam. And in here I was, 15 years old, I was in high school, and he would take me to UCLA, and there would be debate teams, and there would be, this wonderful opportunities to speak and to share certain things that were meaningful to us. As a 15-year-old, and then when I was 16, I took speech 2 with him, and then in my senior year of high school, I took the 3rd year of speech, and we became very, very close. He became such a mentor because I was raised in domestic violence. I did not have a relationship with a father that I could confide in and who would really support me in what it was I wanted to do. His thing was, for my sister and I, you'll never amount to anything. So what did I do as the adult child of an alcoholic home? I became the overachiever. My sister, who was brilliant, became the underachiever. And so she became a product of her environment. And I would look out and I would see that other families don't operate like this. They seem to love each other. They seem to respect each other. And I saw that there was a contrast. And when we see that there's a contrast, then it elevates our own consciousness, even at a young age, and to have a mentor, someone that we can go to for wise counsel. And he was a beautiful father figure for me. And he said to me, one day, you are going to be a great orator. And he used to tell me that. And I used to kind of take it in. And of course, I loved communication. When I was a little girl, I was in kindergarten at 4 years old. I was sent into the cloakroom. We had cloakrooms in those days. And for being too social and to, talking to everyone around me. And what I didn't know at 4 years old and in kindergarten at such a young age is that all those little sack lunches and cookies and things were for the first graders, and I thought they were for me. And so at a young age, we come in and we're accepting the gifts of the universe. And sometimes we have to make an adjustment with that. And my mother always got such a great laugh out of that I really did think that those things were for me, and said, oh, Mama, there were cookies and there was this and there was that. So I was always social. And so when I became a minister and absolutely loved this way of life and embodied these principles, not just talked about it, embodied these principles, my life began to transform. Now, do we still have challenges? Of course we do. We have things that come up. We're going through a global challenge right now. But as our humanness gives way to the divine, the Christ consciousness arises triumphant and victorious. The Buddha nature arises triumphant and victorious. The I am presence arises triumphant and victorious. And when we get it at a deep level, that it's all about our oneness. So when we look at the grace of wise counsel, the book falls off the shelf, just the book that we needed to transform the quality of our lives. A chance person, walks into our path and gives us the information that we needed right at that exact moment. This is grace. These are the moments of grace. And in these moments of grace, we transform by the renewing of our mind. And when Bible states, "Be not conformed to the things of this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind." And this is why I love our way of life, is that every day we have an opportunity to really heighten the frequency of our vibration. And when my vibration goes to a lower point, I have a trigger. And that trigger is I need to be still and know. I need to sit down, quiet myself, be still and know that I am God. What that means for us is be still and know that each and every one of us is a co-creator with that energy. There is always a counselor in the house. The grace of wise counsel, there is always a doctor in the house. There is always a teacher in the house. There is always a life coach in the house within us. And when we have that realization that all of our studying and classes and seminars and workshops that we've done in our lives, this is the moment of truth. I feel that this is the moment that each and every one of us, we came to live this moment. We came to be in the world, but not of it. We came to be in the world to give, to love, to serve, to laugh, to weep if we need to do that. However, all of this energy is lifted up. We are in the world, but of a higher vibratory frequency. And so we're in this moment of disorientation, ready to make the revolution to the next rung of the spiral, moving up the spiral. Gibran tells us in the prophet that life goes not backward nor tarries with yesterday. Life is a forward progression of the soul. And we're also reminded, I love the Aesop's fables, and I used to read them as a little girl. And one of my favorite ones as I grew older was about the dog who was crossing the bridge. And he had this big bone in his mouth. And he happened to glance down into the river, into the lake where he was crossing the bridge. And he saw his shadow that looked like a larger dog with a larger bone. And at that moment, he released his bone to snatch the bone in the larger dog's mouth, which was his own shadow. And what did he do? He lost what he had, grasping for something that was an illusion. So he released the substance to grasp the shadow. And we do that every time we buy into something that is going on outside of us, and we say, well, in the real world, that is not the real world. The real world is within us. That is the relative world of conditions, appearances, and what? Change, which is the only permanent thing in life. So if we look at the appearances, the effects, and all the things going on in the outer world, they can shift like that. That's the relative world. The real world is within us. Be still and know that I am God, that I am a co-creator with this energy of the universe, and that I will go about my Father, Mother, God's business with the intention of knowing that I am in the world, but of a higher vibratory frequency. This is what we're called to do, not to snatch at our shadow and release what we've already learned, but to listen to our intuition and to acknowledge that the gift of wise counsel is really within ourselves, isn't it? But thank God for the people in our lives. My teacher, Dr. Guy Lorraine from the Locker Center Church of Religious Science, he said, if you have the awareness, you need to make the adjustment. And whenever we're tempted to say, why am I always the one that has to make the change? Why am I always the one that has to initiate? If we have the awareness, we make the adjustment. It's not about competition, isn't it? It's about mutual cooperation. And that when people say to me, oh, somebody went to your competition, meaning another spiritual center, I would say, isn't that wonderful? I hope their needs are fulfilled there. Because I know that we'll attract unto us by right of consciousness who is supposed to be with us. And believe me, I've had mega congregations. I've had intimate congregations. I've had medium-sized congregations. That does not define who we are. When we know the truth and we are comfortable in our own skin, then energetically we do not look outside ourselves. We allow the universe to give us our message. Be still and know that I am God. And in the stillness of the moment, the revelation of truth is revealed unto us. And in this revelation of truth, especially in these times, and you know that people are going through hardship and businesses are closed. We have felt it in our own ministry. Believe me, I know from whence I cometh and whither I goest. I know what that feels like. But whenever I have that feeling of lack, limitation, or scarcity, that is a trigger for me to be still and know, to go within to the secret place of the Most High, to pray to my Father, Mother, God in secret, and to know that I will be acknowledged openly by the outward demonstrations of my life. This is radical faith. We're called upon, these are the times for radical faith and the knowingness that we are not alone. None of us are alone, because you are as close to God as I am ever going to get. And I am as close to God as you are ever going to get. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. So when we look at the gifts of wise counsel, they can come from a book falling from a shelf, from a stranger that says just the right thing. They can come from our mentor that we had in childhood that said someday you will be a great orator. And what was so interesting, in 2006, I was invited to speak in Oxford, England at St. Catherine's College. I spoke on world peace. After my presentation, the chancellor of Madonna University in Africa came and said, would you speak at my university? He said, we have the same message. He was Nigerian. I said, absolutely. So for 10 years, I was going to Nigeria and speaking to 25,000 students and faculty. And that same speech that I gave, that presentation at Oxford, I was then invited to go to Cambridge and speak on world peace. Then throughout the years, I was then voted in as the president of the International Foundation for World Peace and Research, where I became part of the Nobel Peace Prize Commission in Oslo, Norway. I met Malala, and she was shot in the head because she wanted an education. And when I spoke with her, she told me, she said, when they wheeled me in on the gurney, I thought, and this is a 16-year-old girl, if I live through this, I will be the first woman prime minister of Pakistan. She said it with such conviction and such knowingness. So through my 15 years old and my mentor, Dr. Richard Aronstam, my speech instructor, I also had him in my freshman year of college because then he went on to teach at the college level, believing in me. So as we, and someone may say, well, you know, no one believed in me. We learn to believe in ourselves. And as we believe in ourselves and begin to love ourselves, love thy neighbor as thyself, which presupposes that we do love ourselves, doesn't it? It's not about conceit. The difference between confidence and conceit, remember, is humility. And in that humility, to feel the energy of God, whatever we conceive our higher power to be, or whatever name we put on our higher power. So tonight, I want you to know that I am so grateful that you tuned in, that we're part of this family. And I feel that family connection with each and every one of you. And those of you that have been so faithful and send in your tithes and love offerings, it's been so very, very much appreciated. I do complete each service with a spiritual treatment. Again, I want to reiterate that a spiritual treatment is a positive prayer of alignment. It's acknowledging that everything that's wanted and needed is already in the energy field. Ours is the privilege of giving birth to it. So let's just go within for a moment and acknowledge that there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect, and that life is our life right here and right now. It is nearer than our breathing. It is closer than hands and feet. It is the life of our life. It is the essence of our being. All that we are is this God-created stuff. God in us, God as us. God is the only truth of us. Whatever we conceive our God to be, whatever name we put on our higher power. For eye hath not seen nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man and woman the things which God hath prepared for them that love. Love being the strongest healing power in the universe. For that which needs to be healed is healed. That which needs to be revealed is revealed. That which needs to be known is known. And that which needs to be released is released. Quickly, gently, and with grace. All cause, effect, record, and memory of that which no longer serves us is returned to its native nothingness from whence it came, because in truth it is neither person, place, nor thing, only the life and the energy that has been given unto it. And what we know in this moment, that any plant which the Heavenly Father hath not planted is rooted up, and this includes coronavirus. Any plant which the Heavenly Father hath not planted is rooted up and returned to its native nothingness from whence it came. Thank you, Father, Mother God, for this way of life, that I release this word in full-blown expression of that which has been sent forth on this glorious Holy Wednesday, Holy Communion Wednesday, Passover Seder. And as we come together to acknowledge this energy and this light, we know it is so. And so it is. Amen. And again, thank you so much for sending in your tithes and love offerings. We're going through our own challenges right now, and those of you who have been really conscious, it's about conscious giving, isn't it? And when you give out of your substance, we know the same opening that we give through is the same opening we receive through. And one of the things that we always do at our center is when we give our offering, we say, I give this gift with love and joy. I give this gift as a sacred expression of who I am. In giving to God, I give to myself. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine. And so it is. I say to you, Namaste. The God in me celebrates the God in you, and the God in you celebrates the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. Namaste. I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. And God bless us, every one. And so it is. Thank you so much for tuning in with Miss Minnie and I. I want you to know that I am so very grateful for you. I love you, and I will see you next week.